everybody, it's Gypsy, and welcome to On the Edge of Appalachia. Today is Saturday, November 14th already. I cannot believe, in less than 2 weeks it's Thanksgiving. It just amazes me. So, it just made me think of something. So, I started doing, raffles for holiday baskets. So, I did a Halloween basket. Oh my God. I sold so many tickets for that. Everybody loved it. So I did one for Thanksgiving. I have handmade cotton napkins in there with a matching pumpkin, crocheted Thanksgiving decorations, tablescapes. And, there's some people, I've sold tickets, but nobody really, I can tell, nobody cares about Thanksgiving. And that's like, Halloween and Thanksgiving are my two favorite holidays. Now, for Halloween, yeah, I am, a little bit out there. I'm kind of, whoops, the car's acting up here. Okay, I'm kind of, like what some people call woo-woo or whatever, which isn't really woo-woo because other realms are pretty much interwoven with ours. So anyways, what I'm not into is horror. I hate horror. I cannot stand it. My attitude is, why attract that to yourself? I don't know. Anyways, if you got into the whole history of Halloween, the true history, or what it first called, like Samhain, which I think in my nationality it's more, most people say Samhain. For me it would be more like Samhain, which is Welsh. My great-grandmother was Welsh. I like more of that. Another turn of the wheel on the year. So we have like a wheel that has the different seasons and sabbats and stuff like that. So Samhain is another turn. So you're starting a new year technically. Anyway, so I love that. I love more the mystique of Halloween and in the new year and what it really stands for, not the horror part. I cannot stand horror. But Thanksgiving has always been one of my favorite holidays. Those two. You guys, I've talked about this a lot. I am really big into gratitude. Now that you have to go around thanking people profusely, it's more of an attitude that you emit all over the universe, especially I'd say here on Earth, where you probably received what you wanted. So to me, Thanksgiving is very important. And not only that, I love Thanksgiving because it's not like this whole huge thing where you start months before with the craziness. Like Christmas was always too much for me. Too much activity, too much bustling around, too much spending money, too much Christmas, as I got older, just got to be too much. So I liked Thanksgiving because it was laid back. You made a whole bunch of food. You cooked, which, I love to do. And, you just get together with your family and friends and eat and talk. You give thanks. And to me, that's very important. So, I have spoken with a couple people in my age group about this. Like, I can't believe my Thanksgiving basket is not receiving the attention I feel it so rightly deserves. And, they said Thanksgiving is becoming a thing of the past. I think that's sad because you really, I don't know where I lost you guys. But anyways, I'm going to pick it up where I was talking to a couple people in my age group, and I said that I don't feel my Thanksgiving basket is receiving the attention I feel it so rightly deserves. And they were saying that they see Thanksgiving is becoming a thing of the past. Which I feel is sad, because I've talked about how and why I feel gratitude is so important. And I feel that Thanksgiving, the holiday, reminds us to be grateful. And it is, being a gardener now too, it's like I understand now why it's at this time of the year and how it came to be, because you have a good harvest. Excuse me. You are grateful for it. And I think that's sad that it's going by the wayside. And I think now more than ever, maybe we need a reminder to be grateful, because people, and this, I have to say, people have this, they come by this feeling, honestly, with everything that's going on in the world, it is hard to be grateful. It really is. So I don't think the answer is getting rid of the holiday. I think it's, using it more as a reminder that we need to do our best to be grateful. What was it? I was going to start talking about something until I had the thought about Thanksgiving. I don't know. I think the world is just so crazy, right? It has been for several years. I felt as a small child the world was crazy. But it seems like the older I get, the crazier it gets. It just, it doesn't calm down. It's just getting worse. And, so I can understand people's attitude towards, probably all the holidays. You get tired of putting up with people's attitudes about stupid shit. There's more important things in the world, like, your family and friends. I don't know. If you can't be loving, maybe it's best you do stay away from people. So, this way I feel, at least stay away from me. I don't know. Yeah, so I think I started talking about Samhain and Thanksgiving, or Halloween and Thanksgiving. I don't know, I had another topic. It was totally different, but I thought, I'm going to mention this about my Thanksgiving basket. And it made me totally forget, what I was actually going to talk about. I don't know. But, I kind of feel like with what's going on today, I'm done. I'd say in 2000, I used to be like, I would bring my children who were extreme. I mean, my youngest, he was a baby at the time. I would bring them to the polls with me to show them how important voting was. But then 2000 came along, and Florida had the problem with its hanging chads, whatever the hell that meant. All I know is it screwed up the election. And I'm sitting there going, oh my God, this is rigged. It was like loud and clear to me. It's all rigged. It's not real. And they already have the person picked out. They already know who's going to be president or who's not before we even get there. That's the way I felt at that time. Now I'm not sure at this moment in time. I'm not sure if that's true. It could be. But on the other hand, I think there's a spiritual battle going on that may have not allowed that to happen. This time, a rigged election. But that wasn't my point anyways. My point was I dropped out. I stopped voting. I never was really big into politics. But I stopped watching the news. I started ignoring everything. It was like, I've had enough. I can't take it anymore. So, when the Mierda hit the fan, I don't know, when was it, like 2016? Somewhere around there. I was like, I don't know. Maybe I made a mistake not voting, not participating. So I got back in the game. Lately I have been feeling like, no, that was a mistake. I don't want to be in the game. I don't even, the games, the stuff that goes on this planet, the systems, I don't want to participate. I don't want to be part of the stupidity that goes on. Why? I mean, the systems, it then includes like governments, financial, everything. Well, that's stupid. And then, is that even real? Is it really a thing? Or are you just making it up to have control over us? That's the way I think. And I got to that point where, again, I want to drop out. I don't want to be a part of this. Man, when I lived on the road, it was wonderful because I felt so disconnected from society. What people call regular society and what was going on. I had my nomad friends. It kind of reminds me a lot of my vending friends. Of course, that's where I did start vending. Was when I lived on the road. Very unique people who, they'll just lay it on the line, not participate. They'll be like, this is bullshit. I will say, there's a lot of liberals. But I don't know, maybe, and I'm not sure because I've never really taken a survey, and I don't even think we talked about it all that much. Liberal or whatever, liberal, conservative. There was both in the nomad community, which is cool. But we were just, okay. We would have these like dinners. We'd all like not a buffet. Everybody would make something and bring it to the dinner. These were usually instigated by my friend Kim. She was big into that, but it was a lot of fun. And we did this especially during the lockdowns because, we were in Quartzsite in Arizona in the desert when everything started. And it was like, we didn't know, if we got on the road, would there be places for us to camp, etc. So everybody just went to this one campground we had that had electricity. This way we could actually use our air conditioner. We would just, even that didn't stop us. I mean, the lockdown didn't really affect us. It's like we lived a totally different lifestyle. And I was strange before I was a nomad, but I think being a nomad made me even more strange. Well, not strange, but, I think, unlike people who are immersed in regular society, I think nomads, if you're having that experience, see reality clearer. In other words, what goes on in what we consider normal society is not only wrong, it's not really real, it's all for control. Being a nomad really changes your perspective on things. And, I've always been the type who always felt, I am libertarian, and it's another problem I'm having with politics, is my cousin and I were talking, that's what I wanted to talk about. My cousin and I were talking about the other night. She's an independent. She goes, I forgot what I don't know if it was registered to vote or what she said it was for. They would not let her, declare an independent. Like she's an independent. Oh no, you have to pick either Democrat or Republican. And I said, oh my God, they did the same thing to me. I said, I'm a libertarian. I want to put libertarian in whatever it was I was doing, and they wouldn't let me. I had to pick one. Pick one. No, these are not the ones that are for me. And then I get absorbed into something that's not me. I don't want that. So anyways, being a nomad really, really changes your perspective. It was a great experience, and I don't regret it in the least. So I do feel the need that I need to really pull back from what is going on in the world. It's just getting too much for me. So anyways, I'm glad I'm proud of my cousin, because that's what I was really going to talk about today. Totally forgot about that. So, I told you guys my cousin and I were going They call it a supper club. My son says it's not technically a supper club, but it's down in Cleveland in the Flats, which I hadn't been to the Flats since I was in my 20s. I'm in my 60s now, so it's been a while. It looks different down there, needless to say. I used to go, when I went down there in my 20s, it was after they fixed up the Flats. The Flats, I think, used to be nothing and yucky, and then they fixed it up, and they made all the warehouses into these, bars and dance clubs. My favorite was Howlin' at the Moon Saloon. It was a lot of fun. And then I heard it went downhill again. But this is the first time I've been back. This venue was great. They had the dining tables all around the stage. So everybody had a good view. I guess they usually do concerts there. But this night it was a psychic medium. She was for some reason, wow, her name is slipping my mind. Really, really nice woman. Very, very good. For me, I don't think her energy matched me. She's like, her energy for me was very static. Too much electricity, so. And I think mine's the same way, under these circumstances they are. So I think we were having, I don't mean clashing as an argument, because we weren't really talking. We weren't talking. She's up there doing her thing. It's just I had a hard time dealing with the energy in the room. But it was great. I mean, she's a really good psychic medium. It was a lot of fun. Like I said, I put out, into the ethers before that I didn't really want a message. But there was somebody who had a situation that was so similar to mine, we couldn't figure out if it was me or her. And we finally figured out, yes, it was her. So I didn't receive a message, which was good. So I really don't have a lot to report other than delicious food, great atmosphere in that room. I mean, in that venue. It's so cool. It is so wonderful. I want to go back there for something else. Except I think I have to have someone else drive, because I don't do city driving. I mean, this is in Cleveland. It takes me 45 minutes to get to this place because of where I live. Which is, you can see, not the city. And I don't like driving in the city. My uncle told me I take after my grandfather. Which is funny, because he told me a story, my uncle did, about my grandpa that involved this cousin. Her father is my grandpa's brother. So it involves her father and my grandpa. So I told her the other day, I don't know if you ever heard this story. I said, I'm surprised I made it here in one piece because I hate city driving. I said, there was a time, I guess, your dad had my grandpa come to Cleveland to work in the salt mines. I don't know if my grandpa was just trying it out, see how it went, whatever. Glad he didn't do it. And my cousin she kind of nodded, like she kind of remembered. I don't know if it was like before she was born or after, but she knew about it. And I said, my Uncle Dave told me that I take after him because, my grandpa, he's trying to get around Cleveland and stuff, and he's a country boy, from the Allegheny Mountains in southwestern Pennsylvania. It's so gorgeous there. And he couldn't take the driving in the city. I think it's the same as, probably he got the same feeling I did. I just hate it. And he finally, he told my uncle, he said, Bob, I gotta go home. I can't take the driving in the city. I'm the same way. I will avoid the city as much as I can. But this sounded so fun. I went, and it was fun. I wish I could teletransport. When we gotta get, hone in on that. Maybe there's a way we could do that, because I can't take this driving from a rural area to the city. Oh boy, it took me 45 minutes, and I took the freeway. 45 minutes. Wow. So anyways, but it was a lot of fun. I mean, just a lot of fun. Everybody there was really nice. Staff was really nice. The name of this venue is called the Music Box, and it's in Cleveland at the Flats. Beautiful. I'd like to go back there again, as long as I don't have to drive in the city. Yeah, but it's really nice. I wish I could remember the psychic's name. It has slipped my mind. She's famous. I mean, she's been on all these different television shows and stuff. She's an investigative psychic, which, like, so my cousin has that too. And I'm like, you know, I have had psychic things where I was given messages in advance about people's death. My cousin, just like this woman, which I think this is why this psychic is her mentor, can tell you where bodies are buried. Just like, or how, or I'm kind of joking about that. I am, or like what happened when, you know, whatever. I would never want that ability ever. I mean, I can't even stand the thought just being told so and so is going to die, and you know, I'm never given specifics. Just that it's coming soon. In my son's case, I was pregnant with him, and it was just, all I got on that one was, your son will die before you. It was the worst message I ever got. Anyways, it was fun. We had a good time. Going to the Music Box for anything, I can't recommend enough. I love that venue. I really do. The psychic medium was great. Just everything about the evening was great, but nothing special message-wise to report. So I'm going to leave you with that. Blessed be, and make it a joyful